It's not over till it's over.
Apparently.
This is the truth. As we move into Game 3 between these two teams, they have fought extremely hard. There has been a struggle going on, and both teams taking games in more or less commanding fashions. This Game 3, who's going to take it? Is it going to be Boss? No, that's not who we're working with. Ion.
Boss is waiting to find out who they fight.
True, and the winners of this one, is it going to be Ion or is it going to be Boom?
It's hard to call, man.
It is hard to call.
It is.
But you want to know what's going to let us know?
Who?
The game. And you want to know how every game starts?
It smells like chocolate chips.
With a draft. Let's go ahead and take a look at this draft and let the picks do the talking. Ion and Boom. Game 3. Ion banning out a scoop. They do not want to deal with that ever again. Boom banning out G-Dubs, Ted McPain. Ion then pick up their typical Coco. Boom pick up Clunk and Swiggins. For the first time in a little while, Swiggins not being picked up as a ban. Ion then pick up G-Dubs, Vinny, and Spike. Are we surprised? Not in the least. They then decide to ban out Skoldir. They don't want to deal with the Iron Techno Viking. Penny not even picked up, but banned here by Boom at this last stage. Ion going to pick up a Froggy G, and Boom going to finish off their lineup with a Coco of their own. So very safe, very comfortable picks for both teams. They've both played exactly these same kind of lineups before. And, yeah, we know exactly what's going to go on with these two lineups. Ion going for that glass cannon kind of build that'll stall out with the Vinny if need be. And then Boom going to play that aggressive play style that is going to center more around zoning than anything else, using the Swiggins' presence to force Ion to play a bit safer than they'd like to. So, yeah, that's what's going to end up happening
Boom is super tanky.
Yeah.
With that Swiggins and the Clunk. And guess what map we're going to?
Rivet 4?
Rivet 4.
Rivet 4.
So this is a comp that we've seen from Ion on this map. We've seen this on Serona. We've seen this in multiple. This is an Ion comp. This kind of comp. Sure, you ban out the Ted, and then they ban out the Penny. That's fine. No Raylan's here today because it's a little harder to play a Raylan on this one. It takes a lot more concentration, a lot more coordination. Like, you don't have nearly the straight lines that you do on Aguilar. So, I don't know. This will come down to G-Dov again. Which is, I don't know, he's really carrying today, isn't he?
It's how Ion likes to play, is putting that weight on the G-Dove. And Boom, going to see if they can't go ahead and take advantage of this level with the Swiggins pick. But we'll see if that presence is enough to stop Ion from collapsing and / farming, which is more accurately what they're going to end up doing here in this Game 3. Rest of Robbie going to play your Froggy G, your Coco being played by Natapop, and finally Vinny and Spike, go figure, being played by G-Dub. On the blue team, you have got your Creeper Clunk being played by Paolo, your Coco being played by Blah, and then you've got your Swiggins being played by Kaio. No surprise there. He's played a couple of Squiddly Swag Swiggins today alone. Squiddles. And blue team taking the middle to start things off already. And this is already looking like a decent start for Boom, but it's only like the first couple of seconds of this. Not even a minute into this game, and this middle is belonging to the blue team, and that's all we can really say. There's no blood, no pushing, no nothing quite yet.
I always forget to get the items too.
Yeah, it's all good. Base items being picked up on practically everybody. Blah going to pick up your first blood onto Rested Robbie, and now Natapop going to have to run away as he takes a decent amount of damage. You got base abilities picked up on practically everybody except for the Vinny. He's gone for Spike Dash into the Solar Crab Burger, so he's got a little bit more lane presence. And he's going to dash outside of the ball, but into the bite. So that's a lot of damage. He's deciding not to go poke his head out any further than that, and for good reason. Kaio could easily kill him, and he's just going to pick up some Solar, float around, and get the HP back that he needs in order to continue the lane instead of having to go all the way home.
We probably know what we're going to see from the Vinny. It's going to be a Cloud. It's going to be Solar. The first time that he did this, though, he went Bubble Gun, and that actually didn't work out for him today in that first attempt. Second time went for the bigger burst, and that really did actually work out for them. So I'm not too sure. We don't have any wards or weedlings, as apparently I keep screwing that up, but we don't have any weedlings. We don't have anything like big and static to kind of kill here. So I'm suspecting we're going to see a bit more bursty out of him.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Oh, look at this anchor.
Yeah, that anchor being very annoying, proving to kind of be the ward weedling that you want it to be sometimes. But in this case, I'm not sure if burst is a good idea, but if you want to get aggressive with the team makeup that you've got, and you do have to, you've got a Frog, you've got a Coco, you have to go for that burst. Despite the fact that you're up against a tanky team, the draft cannot dictate exactly what you're going to end up doing in this case. Your team is meant to burst things down, and that's what you're going to do. So if he doesn't go for Spike Dash, I think that might be an error in judgment. I can see why the Bubble Gun would be tempting, especially against that Swiggins, but you have to, with a lineup like this, dictate the pace of the fight and go for the kills yourself.
Well, right now everyone's just kind of keeping their distance. Blue has predominantly kept control of the jungle here. They've been farming out the creeps. They've been trading out their hit points and getting it back a little bit. And most of Ion is just kind of sticking near their towers. A little bit of a push forward here, but G-Dove gets hit by that anchor, and boom goes the dynamite on that Clunk.
Unfortunately, not quite enough damage to take out a Swiggins right there. And that's where this draft is really kicking in. You've got a very powerful burst comp against no one squishy, a very, very capable team that is able to just sit back and take the punishment and then dish it right back out between the explode and the grapple hook and the grapple drop. So in a situation like this, when you've got a burst comp, a comp that is meant to get kills fast and early, you need to use your mobility to its best advantage and abuse the fact that your opponent doesn't have a lot of it. So knockback ball on the Coco could be extremely useful for pushing away explodes and for keeping away your Swiggins. Your Coco could also stand to go for damage on that knockback ball to make sure that if they do try to come back in, they're at a disadvantage. And out comes the damage. Natapop going to be able to pick up that first kill for Team Ion, going out there between the Dash NATO and the Lightning Ball. And boom, another kill going down on Paolo. This is what I'm talking about. Ion needs to keep up this kind of mentality. Go for the damage, go and get those kills early and often, if at all possible, before the Swiggins can actually get a hold.
Well, the first insta-kill there on top of Swiggins, didn't actually see what happened there, but I can tell you that the Clunk, he died to the double dash and got body blocked right there in front of his tower. He is a bigger character model, easier to body block with the smaller guys. There's no kind of, momentum physics to stop you from that. But G-Dove maybe perhaps too far forward, but that's not quite going to be a kill. He does have the Solar Crab Burgers as well. Finally, a little bit of cash under his belt. Very likely to see a Solar Cloud pop out. And 1, 2, 3... Nope, I'm off there. Oh,
wow. Goes for the bag full of goldfish, going for that burst out of the gate, deciding it's even more important than getting that solar advantage. And
he's going early game damage.
I think that is a very smart move. Out comes the explode. It's not going to end up hitting anybody. That's a cooldown that's out for another 12 seconds. And Kaio going to get picked off on the back there by the double dash into the NATO. So right now, this burst comp managing to work out against this fairly tanky team.
And Boom is fairly split. That's how these kills are happening. I mean, we had the self-destruct go top, looking for the kill on top of G-Dove, who was able to outfloat it. There was a Coco up here as well. That left Kaio to a 2-on-1. And, Swiggins, he can do things, but 2v1 against a Frog and a Coco with Blaze, well, maybe he can't do those kind of things.
And the other thing to keep in mind here is we talked about the low mobility out of these tanky characters before.
Yep.
And
they're not
Ion
as fast.
Absolutely abusing that. When you mentioned the split, you're absolutely correct, and that's doing a lot of work. On the other hand, though, Boom, going for double conductors on the Coco, so going for that split push, now going to force Ion into situations that they don't want to be in. Out comes the Blaze and the Lightning Ball, and it's going to force the rest of Boom to maybe be a little bit more defensive. Rest of Robbie extremely low. He's going to end up barely surviving, though. Natapop now going in and forcing out a Lightning Ball. That's a cooldown that's not going to be there for a little while. G-Dove going to dodge everything and pick up some damage onto those droids and get some stuff done. So now you got Hammer Pants and a little bit of extra damage on the dash. Coming out of Rest of Robbie. You got knockback ball and double Chuck's board. We are on fire with these items and strategies right now. Ion just reading our minds as well as Boom. They've now got the ability to keep people in place. Kraken Statue and Snare Bite coming out of the gate to stop these highly mobile teams from really moving any farther than they have to. They need to keep them in check so that way they can actually get a kill on them. But
that ball from Natapop there, you might be like, man, he went so wide. No, it was a zoning technique. They got the turret, they got the zoning. Well, perhaps they didn't quite clean up at the end here. Rasta Rabe actually about to drop as well because of the Blaze. So they got the turret, but as you like to say, at what cost?
Yeah, and it's still a turret for 2 kills, so it's a negative thing, absolutely, but that's still an objective that they can definitely use. Out comes the Lightning Ball. It's not going to end up hitting Natapop. Now, if I'm sitting in Boom's shoes, and I am, I'm very happy we managed to trade a turret for a turret and get a kill.
2 kills.
At least 2 kills, that's correct. what am I gonna do if I'm Ion right now? And
Solar Cloud.
Solar Cloud is an option.
I mean, he's clouding repeatedly anyways. It's a very cheap upgrade.
It is a very cheap upgrade, and he could afford to maybe spend 100 solar on it, but instead he's going to go for that time-tested and honestly true.
Stolen!
Oh, absolutely, Ninja. That is a huge win coming out in terms of Boom. Boom now looking extremely good. Ion very much on their back foot, and then that's one of the risks to playing a lineup like this. If you start to fall behind, it can be really difficult to come back.
Yep.
It's a very high-risk, high-reward lineup that they've got going on here.
It's about 500 or so solar this early on. I mean, the tower kill is a good amount of global for everyone. The solar boss, of course, a good amount. 4 kills on the back of that doesn't hurt at all. And 49 creeps here for Blah and counting. This is why you go double hands early. Might not get you the big burst kills, but it'll get you that farm advantage. And right now it's her and Clunk competing for first place.
On top of that, Clunk going for the explode damage. He's now confident enough that he can land it. He's got
that's
snare
why.
bite, 750 damage explodes, and hard hat. So taking reduced damage from his explode now.
Clunk has piggy bank. That's why he's competing. It's like there's no way he should be competing at all. He has 1 kill versus her 3, 53 joys to 28, but the allure of a piggy bank.
The lure of a piggy bank is very real. Purple heart metal coming out. G-Dove going to be on the receiving end of a lot of burst. Now it's up to Ion to maybe try to even it out. Blah going to be able to slink away. And that return kill not going to be a reality here for Team Ion as they now start to sit on their back foot a great deal. Chuck's board being bought out by Natapop, but to what effect? He's only got one way of applying the Chuck's board, and that's by being right next to a team that he wants to not be right next to. Froggy G still sitting on Hammer Pants and 1 rank of the basic damage upgrade. Things are looking really rough for Ion. They still can come back from this, but they need to get the appropriate person on the appropriate people.
Okay.
Rested Robbie, unfortunately disconnecting. So going to get replaced by a sentry for the next level.
But how did Blah get a killing spree? Like, he got a kill there.
Good question.
Did he get a kill on the Vinny who just died?
On the
no, not the Vinny, the frog?
Possibly. Maybe killed him so hard he fell off the internet.
Wow. That's a very hard hit.
Yeah, Blah obviously playing extremely well for a Coco that can do that.
Yep. Okay, so Blah's now going to be back. Don't have any kind of big things here. Another solar boss. All right, I think Blah actually just auto-tapped it and took it, but we didn't see an animation out of it. 10 minutes in, 8 kills. We are putting up the pressure here on this top turret. It is not looking that healthy. And auto-attacks from the Clunk, auto-attacks there from the Squiggins. Well, maybe not the Squiggins so much as the superconductor on Blah, but the towers are not living.
No, and on top of that, during that brief period of time where Rusty Robbie was currently disconnected, the blue team did take that opportunity to uncontestedly take out a solar boss without any real retaliation or damage back. So
oh, G-Dove. Oh, he's
gonna live. The grapple drop gonna end up happening onto Natapop, but she'll end up surviving. And now like with that surviving, that happening, that's good. But you need to go ahead and translate that into a kill or some sort of counter. So,
yep.
Right now that's not happening though. It's very difficult for G-Dove to do that as well as Natapop, and Rusty Robbie is very much on the backside of a lot of these things that are going on. Frog, maybe not the best pickup here. Coco taking a ton of damage, ending up going down to the ink shot. Well played by Kai-O. G-Dove now needs to be very careful here as well as Rusty Robbie. Any misstep could result in their death, and well, that could be a very bad thing indeed. G-Dove taking a bite, the grapple, the drop going to end up hitting, but Paolo coming in a little bit late with that explode, so it's not going to land.
Who was bottom? It was Blah. Blah was bottom and pushing out, split pushing out the other turret while they were all top and doing damage up on this one. Not really a significant source as of yet, but hey, every little bit counts at this point because whoever does make their way to the core and take it out is going to be eventually declared the winner. 6-3 for Boom. They are controlling this mid. They are controlling this early. They have the kills. They have the money. And now coming into this, Natapop and crew, they're very much on the defensive. They're all down here. They're very hesitant to jump up. Natapop looks like he's going to escape the clutches. Can't say the same, I think, for G-Dove, but looks like I can. Robbie now going to be trying to do the jukes. The ball will not hit here from Blah. In fact, G-Dove actually came back into and explode, and they're actually going to end up trading their lives for each other in a 1-1.
That was a very impressive kill there. He knew that he was stuck with the drop, and he decided, I'm going to just do what I can at this point. And he went for that dash. He got it, and that was very useful out of him. We've got that double item glitch happening, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so
not much to do about it except get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly. But ink shot damage coming out on the Swiggins, and the Cocos continuing on the build that they've got going on. And
There you go.
yeah, so far, things looking very good for Team Boom, but by no means is Ion out of this yet. As you saw in that last fight, it almost looked very, very strong. A 1-0 pickoff for Team Ion. It just required that Silence Cloud to land the way that you wanted to. And at the moment, not quite yet. The Silence Cloud just needs to be in the right spot at the right time, but if that cooldown's down, then Ion needs to be careful.
Blah picked up slow on Blizz.
That's good and important, to say the least. That slow is going to really hamper the movement of a Swiggins and the Clunk especially.
Anything you can do to hamper the movement. Wow, that big attack, that big auto from the Clunk actually took out most of Robbie's hit points. That was impressive. But yeah, you slow these guys down, it's going to be easier Clunk explodes, it's going to be easier anchors, and then that will, of course, lead into easier Clunk explodes as well. And you know, it's big burst, and we talked about this, you know, burst versus sustain, but the big burst between these guys, especially with the Clunk on the team, you're looking at an easy 1,000 if you do talent it out. Now bottom lane, it's going to be a little bit of a fight. That's going to be some Blaze bringing down Nada Pop to low. Didn't quite kill him, but that's going to be an explode. Once again, we actually have that trade out of the dash into the explode, killing off both team members there. One from each side. Robbie, not where you want to be.
No, he ends up getting picked off as he tries to go in the jungle to maybe find something else in there.
Over here.
Down he goes. It's going to be a 2-for-1 pickoff in favor of Team Boom. Now currently 9-5 for Team Boom, 14 minutes into this game. You've got a pretty severe advantage going for Boom right now. Ion definitely playing from their back foot. They're being assaulted on all sides. They're not finding the kills that they need. They're high risk, high reward team lineup, their draft. Unfortunately crumbling under the weight of one too many failed executions on their team fight. Now G-Dove also behind. He went for the burst. He did well earlier on, and after a couple of bad spots, now he's really not doing so well. And he doesn't. I don't even think he's got Solar Cloud this time.
He doesn't. And I can. Well, apparently that's not the button to prove it, but I could definitely prove it. But we'll have to see what these teams want to do about this little push out from Ion in the bottom lane. Doesn't look like anything because they're all going to retreat. Tower damage is now still adding up. But yeah, as I said, you know, I said this earlier, you know, what can you do? You get Solar Cloud. He eventually did get Rubber Mask, but God, look at that, like how late that came in.
Yeah, even considering the double item glitch, that is definitely a decent amount of time into it.
Right here. He picked it up right here.
Yeah, and it's very late in the game now. He'll still get a benefit out of it, but not nearly as much benefit as before, which is fine. Vinny does not need a lot of solar to max out, so at any point in the game that is before halfway through your build, it'll still be useful. G-Dove getting the grapple to drop. He puts out the Silence Cloud, but it's not going to be enough. That dash, though.
Hit. Wow.
That dash going to end up saving him. He ends up picking up the 500 HP. Is he going to get bit again? Not likely. He gets grapple dropped, though, and now G-Dove again in a bad spot. He takes a lot of ink shots, a lot of missiles. That Silence Cloud is still keeping him alive as well. That sustain is real. Kaio having to head all the way back home, and G-Dove managing to survive a very well-placed dash. Nada Pop going in for the lightning ball, but not going to find his intended target.
He was anchored twice, but used the dash to get out of the explode. And of course, we didn't have the cooldown up there from Paolo's, so yeah, just had really enough targets in those clouds to bring him back to full every single time. And again, we had a little bit of a split team. Like, Blau really wasn't there to try to capitalize on these kills. He tried to kill out Robbie, and then we had an Adipop trying to kill out Kaio. So again, bigger split teams here from Blue is going to be the way to victory for Ion. But after enough cooldowns, it's just very evident that Boom still has the punch that it needs to. They take a 2-0 exchange, and G-Dove, the only one to live through it.
And at this point, he can continue to live through it at least a little bit, but the left clicks are proving to be very, very strong. They're going to end up taking out this bottom turret and doing some real damage to the core in the next 8 or 10 seconds or so before anyone else shows up. It is very close to it, though, as Ion struggling to maintain any sort of presence in this game. Out comes the explode. The lightning ball going to help put G-Dove in a bit of a rough spot, and that's going to be 1/3 of damage on the core. before Boom has to back off.
I wouldn't be feeling very good as Ion right now. It's game number 3, and whoever wins goes on to be a guaranteed cash placement. Loser goes home with skins.
Yeah, this is definitely fighting for a pretty decent amount right now.
Yeah, 460 split. That's nothing to really shake a stick at.
Nothing at all to shake a stick at. So right now things looking very, very good for Team Boom. They've got almost a 2-to-1 factor in terms of kills, deaths, and
it's 1850 or so solar between the teams.
Yeah, it's an impressive amount of solar. 18 minutes into this game, and honestly, I'm not sure how Ion's going to come back into this. Their lineup have failed to really get off the ground the way that it meant to, and it's looking very difficult for them right now. They could do it. They've got a better late game, but it's by no means going to be an easy way to get there, since getting that solar requires actually getting kills. And right now, they're having a hard time getting even close to getting 1 kill.
Teams are split, both 2-1 for the splits, 2 up top, 1 down here. I was going to say, like, you know, they know Kaio's actually down here. Why don't they try collapsing on top of Apollo, on top of Blanc? Well, the window's obviously closed now, but of course they did have their frog in the bot as well. So a 2v2 on equal footings, yeah, Ion is probably not going to win that duel, but a 3v2 with Burst, they might be able to actually get a kill, at least relieve some of this pressure that they're feeling, because well, right now they cannot leave this turret, and even then they still got to put someone bottom lane to push it out, because Kaio is making sure that he's getting his droids in, and if they get in, that's going to be chip damage, and you cannot afford that because there's no repair function in this game.
None whatsoever. Not that there are very many in any of these MOBA types, but in this case,
for another day.
Yeah, discussion for another day. But in this case, particularly important that honestly they just play it a little safe and they find the opportunities. Like right now, there was a dash that didn't hit anything. They have to get out of there if at all possible. Natapop gonna succeed in doing so. The explode gonna whiff, and now it's at this point that without the explode and with a decent amount of sustain, that the red team needs to go in and at least do something.
Natapop just kind of
today.
Put his face right on top of those blocks and lost most of his hit points for it. They were able to actually chase off some of the enemy team, but Blah just comes right back in. He does have that superconductor, perhaps a bit too far forward, and for sure a bit too far forward. I think that the anchor drop actually did hit Natapop right there, which is why you didn't see the ball explode, because that momentary stun does actually stop, and then you just stop spamming the button because the moment has passed. But a little bit too greedy, I think, right there from Red Coco. Blue Coco, my apologies.
There's also a little bit of extra damage that she did not see coming. Right back at you, picked up by Rusty Robbie. That should help a lot in some of these fights.
Herself?
Yeah, well, maybe not that, but the particles bouncing off and hitting herself in the face. That's going to be a turret now in favor of Ion. Ion now looking to maybe go in and do something. That NATO used it at a weird time, but it's going to be enough to make the Clunk have to stay upstairs. You just didn't want to come in, and Kyle's going to go down for nothing.
Not at all. See, now if I'm Ion, I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Well,
we just solidified 2 kills. We got that bottom turret. I don't think we're going to see these guys go for all 4. I think they're just going to go for a 2 and grab it. That was a very close kill on top of Blah, but Paula was not able to return damage. There's not going to be a kill either side. If they can actually chip away and nurture this Super Droid just a little bit longer, bring it down to half, if we get another opportunity like that, that's going to open up a core.
Absolutely, and Blah going to toss in a lightning ball from above. That's going to really hurt since that hit everybody with the burst and the dot. Rusty Robbie now in a bad spot as he gets caught out between a rock and a hard place.
And now this is a very bad situation for Ion.
On the other hand, though, he did buy his team time to escape, which allowed G-Dove and Natapop to at least go home and pick up some upgrades.
But that's a half core.
That is a half core. So we'll see whether or not he can stall it out. G-Dove playing the Vinny and Spike. Vinny and Spike are very useful stalling character, but it might not be enough as these left clicks are coming in. In comes the dash. The Cloud coming in to help sustain his life and do a lot of silencing. But the Clunk, the left clicks are really strong. In comes the Explode. It's going to end up hitting just the core, really. G-Dove going in. Natapop gets picked off. G-Dove is all by himself practically. And in comes the NATO. Not quite done yet, but like a couple of pokes from a droid, and it's going to be game over. G-Dove going to survive by the skin of his fancy teeth.
Color me surprised that we're actually backing off. Blonde Kaio here. Color me surprised.
I am very surprised, but I'm not sure if the surprise is going to last very long.
Yeah.
This is a moment where I'm going to borrow one of your parlances and say all they need to do is YOLO. That is down to
YOLO.
next to nothing.
YOLO
Half
core
a
life,
bar.
man.
And down goes Rusty Robbie.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah, that's
and there
unfortunate.
goes
G-Dub
G-Dub.
gets chased down, and he's done for another 32 seconds.
I think we could now say with certainty, congratulations, Team Boom. They're going on to face off Boss in the next best of 3. They are now guaranteed top 3 here of the Alienware Alpha Cup, or the Alienware Awesome Cup, sponsored by Alienware Alphas, because that's what first place is fighting for. But the Alienware Awesome Cup now has its top 3. Ion will fall to 4th by the end of it.
Well, Ion put in a really good fight. They honestly played very well. They just unfortunately couldn't get their high-risk lineup to work out for them in that last matchup in that best of 3. And it, unfortunately for Ion, they're now out. They're now sitting at 4th. That's 4th out of a top
512
that has been sitting on top of a pile of other teams. So they are still one of the top teams on the planet.
Yep.
They are still very, very highly regarded, and congratulations to them for getting this far. But for now, their tournament ambitions come to an end. Now, Boom, the newcomer in this particular top 3, going to struggle against Team Boss. So we have a Boom and Boss makeup yet again.
Boom and Boss, yeah, they have fought before, haven't they?
They have. We've cast Boom and Boss. It's a really
and what happened last
satisfying way to say it. Boss
2-0, yeah. So I said at the beginning of this, them and Ion took a very convincing game number 1. They Serona-wormed. They had the Vinny with the Solar Cloud. They were able to win in 16 minutes. And I said, Boss looks a little shaky. No, sorry, Boom looks a little shaky. Boss was just waiting in the wings.
Not just me.
Boss is off having calamari at this point. But Boom, they looked shaky, and I guess they said, all right, calm down, regroup, smacked each other in the faces, cold water, whatever, whatever wakes you up. But, they came back. Their mentality, very solid. They came back, mind games. They got game number 1 in the big. They've won out 2-1 in the end. Let's see if they can keep that concentration.
You scared me. Anyway, here we are. Boom versus Boss in this next round 3 of the lower bracket.
The last lower bracket game.
The last lower bracket game before we start going into the grand finals.
Go on to 99 cents.
In a best of 3, best of 3.
Best of 3, best of 3, yeah.
Best of 3.